So Wikipedia defines flow as something like in positive psychology, a flow state, also colloquially known as being in the zone, is the mental state in which a person performing some activity is fully immersed in a feeling of energized focus, full involvement, and enjoyment in the process of that activity. Now, I have never personally been in a flow state, but I have seen some people be in flow state. Also, just so you know, positive psychology is the study of conditions which lead people to function well in their environment as in function well in society and function well in their office spaces, etc. Yeah, so I don't think I've ever been in a flow state, as in so maybe when I would have watched movies, but never academically. Maybe in some movie, like my dad used to say that I'm way too focused on TV and I'm not eating properly. Like when my dad used to give me food and we were also watching movie at the same time. Like when we were watching a movie while having our dinner, I used to sometimes, if the movie was too good, or if some of the concepts were very good, if my dad was telling me a story or something, I would leave leave. I wouldn't eat properly. I wouldn't eat continuously. I would just stop then and there and just listen to what was happening. I think that's very common in children. I don't know if that is defined as flow state, but I have actually seen my dad and my brother in flow state. Both of them are very bright people, and once my dad was reading from my 11th grade physics textbook, and it was about atoms and subatomic particles, and there was something about he was always a philosophical person, and there was something about the uh, greatest uh, of the greatest attraction force in all of the nature. The I think that's called strong nuclear force, and it's between subatomic particles. So uh, let me just check. Strong nuclear force. I think it helps to attract particles inside the neutron, and my dad was reading about that from my physics textbook, and his mouth was open like he was gaping. He was trying to find some sort of meaning in that. He told me that the this could be like a really good metaphor for something in human life. He always taught physics and the small is always equivalent or can act as a good metaphor for the big. So, as in the each and every cell sort of acts in an collaborative manner, as in it's a form of society and it's acting in its own interests. So, for example, WBC cells, they will eat phagocytosis, bacteria and other stuff. It's something equivalent to the law enforcement in the human society. So he always thought that small can really act as a really good simile for the big, and what goes on in bigger levels of the universe also goes on in the smaller level of the universe. So reading that, my I think my dad found some sort of uh, like found it. I wouldn't say plain interesting. He found it to be uh, so interesting. It was like a I don't know how to explain it. Like 1 second he was talking normally, and as soon as he reaches that point, uh, his mouth was open as it was, and I tried calling him. I was like, Dad, Dad, and he just continued reading for some time, and afterwards realized that I was calling him. So it's like a slippery underground cave, and for him, and as if it was laced with butter all around. And as soon as my dad stepped in the cave, he just went inside, and there was no coming back, something like that. I've seen my brother once and twice too. He was so deep in academic maths, especially when he's doing maths. He's always way too deep into all these subjects. It's almost like my mom keeps calling him for food and he just doesn't come back. It's actually really interesting in a way. But I've never personally been ever experienced flow state. I've seen people talk about it. I don't think I ever experienced flow state, but I think I definitely would have found things that I think I definitely have found things that have interested me. For example, taxonomy and evolutionary biology. It's always sort of drawn me in, and when I'm studying about it, I'm never tired. So I think that is flow state for most people, but never something like uh, I'm completely unaware of when someone calls my name or something. Never been in any situation like that. I think flow state is something in which more academically oriented people are involved in, and social people are not really uh, maybe they find it hard to get into this flow state. I'm not a socially successful person, but I am also not introverted, sort of academic. I'm sort of always strategizing about these things. So maybe like I am strategizing about social aspects of life and academic aspects of life, and maybe I'm trying to strike a balance between these. I think a well-rounded person who is who also knows what's best to do in each place. So he's not a mad scientist, and he's not a uh, he's not an idiot at the same time. He's just like a well-rounded person. And I think a person who has academically mastered to be in flow state while at the same time is also socially adept enough to face the world would actually be sort of the best kind of person to be at this point. Obviously, there are situations in which even the best of the people fall short. For example, if something like a war or something, there are situations in which are out of our hand and we can't control them. But mostly, it's even in situations like this. So, suppose if there is a war, then a person who is much more soldier type has a higher survival rate than a person who is just a well-rounded social person in different times. Even that is actually debatable. In different times, different types of people are needed, and I have never actually understood this about social natural selection. And the thing about this is, it's something that I don't think evolution can completely overcome. Evolution can overcome, for example, if there is a grassland species and the continent suddenly changes to glacier-like, then I think evolution can overcome that. But what if the uh, grassland type is completely uninhabitable? So, for example, if the temperature fluctuates from 80 degrees in a year to 20 degrees in next year and 80 degrees back in next year, I don't think evolution can create one species that's going to live in an environment like that. I think the powers of evolution and natural selection are sort of limited.